For drivers to truly be a champion, they must conquer the majority of the tracks in a given season. And with that, the vast variety of tracks that are present. Last week saw us at the Speed Palace at Port Royal, but this week we slow it down in the corners for a challenging race here for round number 9 for the VDRA Late Model Series here at Williams Grove. My name is Finity Kone here, as always with Connor Horn. Connor, I'm glad to have you back again once more for an excellent round of this season. And heading to Williams Grove definitely should be another challenge for these drivers to face.
Yeah, another big challenge, another track where you're going to see some pretty long straightaways. We're going to be going much slower in the corner than we were last week at Port Royal, I think. So this should be a pretty fun one. Maybe a bit more of a technical dirt track than what these drivers are used to. So it should be very fun. Very wide corners, but we're going to see majority of the running around that bottom guardrail in 3 and 4 and around those tires in 1 and 2. So this should be fun. I'm excited to see what type of racing we see. We'll see if that groove gets up to the high side. I've personally never watched a race here at Williams Grove, so we'll just have to wait and see as we got, 3.5 minutes left in qualifying. Already got some times on the board. It's not surprising to see Travis Beckner on pole, but it is surprising to see him on pole by like not 6/10, but I'd say 2.5 tenths, but still very fast lap.
Fast lap for him up near the top of the board. We were actually just talking about it before. Another absence from Tyler Gary, who has been his wingman up near the front of the field. So should things remain uncontested, it looks like it might be a solid week for Travis Beckner, especially the times to go anything off of. Looking at Dalton Kane running in the number 7 machine. He's flying around, coming out of turn 4 and across the stripe for him. Let's see what his time is, 19.578. That should put him up in 3rd. Just 0.003 of a second as I say that. Jordan Martin pushes him back to 4th. He goes up to 2nd.
Yeah, up to 2nd position, and it's not really surprising when you look at the practice times to see how Beckner is this far ahead of everyone. He was about 1.5 tenths ahead of Connor Hughes, who was 2nd in practice, so this might be a tall task for drivers to take down to 27.
Sorry to cut you off, comes back and goes back up to 2nd place. A solid time there. He actually brings the gap down to Travis Beckner just under 0.2 of a second, but taking a look at Gene Freiberger, working one of the first of his time laps out of turn 4, the 24 car. He's been hungry for that first win of the season. And a big dive into turn 1, slow on the first opening lap. We'll see if he can come back on lap 2.
Just wait and see. Freiberger always so consistent. I think last week might have been one of his worst races, and it wasn't really that bad of a race for the most part. Just needs to have some better race pace this week as he almost hit that guardrail on the outside, and I think he might have hit that guardrail, and it might have thrown that lap away. So he's going to be pretty far down the order. Jacob York is one who usually qualifies well, but is only in 14th position out of 17 drivers who put a time down, minus Jacob Bell. He hasn't put a time down, but York's usually one at the front.
Yeah, and Jacob York actually has used up his qualifying times. That's why I changed away from him. He's going to be stuck in 14th, or maybe even worse here is Jacob Bell gets out there and will start his time laps.
And Bell's the last one to put a time down. He's got 1.5 minutes to do it, so should get 2 laps down. Seems like tried that higher line in turns 1 and 2, and he's going to do it again in 3 and 4. But we've seen everyone kind of painting the guardrail and the tires around the bottom, so we'll see what Bell can do on the higher side. He's 1.3 seconds off. This time he goes closer to the bottom of the racetrack, but even that may be a little bit too high, but much better run off the corner.
Working his way through 3 and 4, make a little bit of a lower dive, gets close to the barriers, and you see a lot of guys, especially early on, bottom feeding really near that inside barrier across the line for Jacob Bell, and it will only be 14th for him. Lower than his previous run. He's been on a bit of a hot streak recently, but unfortunately it's going to be a little bit further down the order for him. That'll effectively wrap up qualifying here. And we'll take a quick look at the results before he goes away from us. Travis Beckner going to be on pole by a decent margin back to 2nd place.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to beat that 27, I think, tonight. I think the people who can beat him is Dalton Kane. He almost had him last week until the final restart where he tore off his spoiler, and that was the difference. But he's up in 2nd. He'll be in his own heat. But Dalton Kane, Hughes, and there's a few others in the field that did not qualify as well, like maybe Jacob York, that has some work to do to get to the front. Those are really the main challenges for Beckner, I think, as you look who didn't get top 10. Senesac Freiberger's back there. He could be a threat. DeBoer, 18th on speed. But I think it's going to be a tall task to beat that 27.
It is going to be a tall task. It usually is always hard to beat in that 27 machine. Is typically up to the standard with Tyler Gary, usually both of them. The standard to beat week in, week out as we get ready for the first of what I think should be 3 heat races with the 18 starters we have. 6 drivers lined up for the heat. Let's go down and take a look at the drivers lined up for heat number 1. Taking a look, there is Travis Beckner, fastest in qualifying. Will be starting on pole for heat number 1. Then move on to row number 2. It's going to be Ryan Zabot, lined up there in second place. Brent Pucari's lined up in third in the number 35 machine. Next to him will be, once he grids, Chris Seidenfeld in the number 4 car, fourth place in the 99 machine. Fifth place, Joseph Swan, lined up in the number 1, and Casey Lacatus will be rounding out our field of 6 for heat 1.
This should be a pretty quick heat, but it is sort of longer laps than we've been used to the past few weeks in the lower 19-second bracket, some drivers in the 20-second bracket, so we'll see what type of track we get for the next 2 heats after this, but we should see Beckner very planted at the bottom of the racetrack in this first heat for at least the first half of it.
And again, it really comes down to how tight the corners are around here. Very much this track is very much shaped like Martinsville, is the way I like to look at it. Let's take a look at Brent Pucari, one of our onboards for tonight. And with that is the slow corner speeds. And we talked to Port Royal, these guys are pretty much able to floor it around the outside. But here, this is a track you may not necessarily want to be up near that outside wall. Those turns are very wide, but being out there, it's not necessarily the fastest way around. Of course, once the inside gets slicked up, that might be your only choice.
Yeah, we might see it get up there if the bottom gets slicked up. I don't know if it's going to be faster. It's not like other tracks where we see it a little bit more banked up there, and you can plant the right rear on the wall a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we'll see Travis Beckner try his best to plant it on the wall, as looks like Joseph Swan is not going. He'll get back in line, and I guess he won't be a lap down, but I think it's going to be tough to get on the wall there with the right rear. It's going to be tough. We'll see it get slick, but like you said, the corners are so wide. I just don't see that being that fast compared to the rest of the lines that you're going to have to offer.
Just Swan actually having to go back around. It's telling him that it might place him a lap down. I guess he doesn't want to play with the system, so he'll get back out around. He should be able to join us by the time they make their way on through. Goal line is that end of the wall right there on the inside wall. And the entrance to turn 3. That's where these drivers have a chance to go, but they're going to wait a little bit more. You can see in the middle of 3 and 4, Travis Beckner off and away, and we are green here at Williams Grove for heat number 1 as he leads them off into turn 1.
See how hard these drivers have to kick it sideways to get to the bottom of the racetrack. Beckner did a good job, good launch, and he's already away.
He already lined up single file, and you see Beckner bottom feeding immediately, very close to the walls in turns 3 and 4, and another deep dive here in turn 1.
Yeah, big dive from him, but even deeper into the corner was Zabot in second, and you see how much time that cost him on the exit of the corner. And it's clear for second, though. The battle's for third. Puncari's side by side. Lacatus trying to have a look at either driver who gets a bad run, and it's the 99 who got a poor run up the corner. So Puncari actually holds on to that third position.
And Chris Seidenfeld now has got a mirror full of Casey Lacatus. Lacatus trying to see if he can make a move here from 5th, move up to 4th. Ooh, a little bit of door-to-door contact, pushes the 99 out of the way. That's
one way to do it, I suppose. He didn't really miss the corner, but Seidenfeld thought he'd have a little bit more room given, and that wasn't the case. So Lacatus is going to get that 4th spot. Seidenfeld almost hit the wall. In fact, he might have hit the wall on the inside, just flipped it.
Yeah, tapped it with his nose. I think just threw it in a little bit too hard. Not sure that was trying to get payback up to 13 or just threw it in there a little bit too hard with frustration. But now Lacatus is going to set aside to Brent Pucari, who's lined up in 3rd here.
I think we saw from a lot of drivers, if they want payback, they can get payback, because we saw it at the end of the final lap last week, but I don't think that was the case there. But the damage does seem to be affecting him. Oh, he's into a wall. He hit the opening down the back straightaway. So Seidenfeld's going to be out of this heat. Joseph Swan's going to get a spot out of that.
Bring the caution here as he comes to a stop, and no, it doesn't look like anyone's around. Joseph Swan's lost his rear wing. You need that, as we've seen many times this season. So he's going to be a bit out of it at the moment. Ooh, and I thought I saw almost side-by-side there between Lacatus and Puncari. They're both running out of time. 2 laps to go at the line.
I don't know if Seidenfeld meant to do that. It just looked like he kind of aimed for the opening, and poor Joseph Swan, he's just trying to avoid everything, and that's how he lost the spoiler. So he'll still get 5th out of the race, as it seems like everything's died down besides this battle for 3rd. Brian Sabot, Travis Beckner, pretty much all on their own, kind of testing what they can do and what they can't do at this point with how the track's getting a little worn out. Beckner's drifting up the track a little bit, but it's not too far up there. As you can see, Punkari pretty much running the same line Beckner did.
And looking at the battle for 3rd here, 1st and 2nd place already decided. Really, it comes down to 3rd as Punkari takes a nice defensive line. Oh, maybe 2 defensive. Hit the tire barriers. Goes up the track. Going to try to gas out of the corner. Beckner will win. He won a drag race to the line. Casey Lakatos takes 3rd place away from Punkari. Wow, a drag race there at the end. So Lakatos stealing that away. Zabot, 2nd place. Swan in 5th. And Chris Seidenfeld will round out your top 6.
Well, Punkari knows one thing, it's to not enter too low because there's a big barrier with tires just sitting there waiting for him. He did a great job swerving out of the way from hitting that end of that wall, but fortunately cost him a spot, and it cost him a few rows on the grid.
Yeah, it's valuable. You know, every time you lose a place in these heats, you're dropping down another 3 positions. So that's what these drivers are fighting for. Of course, starting position we know can be very, very important. As everyone looks like they're lined up and ready to go for heat number 2. Let's get down a look at your starting grid. Dalton Kane is going to be rolling off, and I believe he has an EOL from last week, so he'll have to surrender that 2nd place. So he qualified in 2nd place. Starts on pole for the heat, will have to move back to the order. So starting in 2nd place will be Connor Hughes in number 5 machine. Casey Borgmeyer will be actually inheriting pole position for this heat. Bryce Senezek lined up in 4th in the 09 machine. Jacob Bell in the 77 lined up in 5th. That'll round out your 5 drivers here for heat number 2.
Yeah, Justin White was supposed to be in this heat, not in this session anymore, so scratch one of our 18 drivers that we thought were going to start off the grid, as we'll get one more mini pace lap before the pace truck pulls off. As it's kind of an interesting restart zone. Most of the time, it seems like the last few weeks we've been waiting for the pace truck goes off, and then we got to wait a lot. But you know, the restart zone is at the end of that wall entering turn 3. So in theory, you could go before the pace truck pulls off. I'm kind of interested to see if we get later in the race, either in these 2 heats or in the main race, if anyone tries that.
Yeah, and you're talking about. I don't think I got a. Don't really have a good camera. I didn't plan on anticipating where the starting line was, so unfortunately can't quite get it. I'll actually look on board with Bryce Senezek here for a second again. And you can see right there that cutoff where it ends and the tires start, the pace truck pulls in. Borgmeyer inheriting the start of the field, looking at Bryce Senezek to see how he's handling this start. Borgmeyer off and away, and immediately single file for the top few positions. Green once again at Williams Grove. As Dalton Kane tries to see if he can come back up through the order. Already past Bryce Senezek, and side by side for the lead.
Yeah, Borgmeyer did not get out of too well at all. That let Connor Hughes get to the inside. They're almost 3 wide for a moment there, but Borgmeyer making that higher line work a little bit out of the corner. Ooh, Jacob Bell and Connor Hughes had contact. They're 3 wide for the 2nd position, but Dalton Kane, good move. He thought better of it, backed out, but he might just get Jacob Bell for 3rd by doing that.
Great move by Borgmeyer to secure the lead, and now it's back to 2nd place. Dalton Kane bottom feeding, trying to get past Connor Hughes up on top, but that run out of the corner very strong here, getting up from a slow speed. Jacob Bell now trying to fight back for 3rd place.
And Jacob Bell kind of got the door shut on him by the 7 out of turn 4, tried to cross him over, just couldn't quite do it. But you're already starting to see how hard it's going to be to make these passes. You don't really have an opportunity to do any slide jobs to anyone because you don't want to go up to that outside wall. So you need to force your way to be inside of someone. Dalton Kane tried to open he did open the door and he turned him.
I think he opened the door a little bit too much and some contact, and I'm not sure he's trying to move out of the way to repent for his sins, but he'll drop back to 4th with that, and that'll bring out the caution.
Yeah, that's not good, especially when you have an EOL for the heat. That was kind of weird. I didn't expect that to turn Hughes around, but you can see it's going to be tough. You got to force your way to the inside to make these passes. Kane thinks he's still there, and I think he might have still been there. That was tight, but Hughes took a hard hit to the outside wall, and then Jacob Bell and Kane have a little bit of contact, but yeah, from this angle, I think he's still there. Just you're trying to take up as little room as possible to keep it towards the inside, and they just came together.
You can see right there. You can See briefly Kane off sideways. Kane 2 is inside, heading off into turn 1. Things will get a better look here.
Yeah, I think Kane does kind of come up a little bit and maybe doesn't go as low as he needs to. From that angle, it definitely looked like he maybe came up a little bit too much, trying to stay close to Hughes' left rear
Jacob
into
Bell
the
down
corner.
a pin lane.
Yeah, he got some big right front damage from the hit with Kane. So
He's out down there repairing it.
I don't know if Hughes going to get back in this heat. He took a big hit. But yeah, I think Kane just came up a little bit too much, so that wreck score is not going to look pretty.
Definitely is, and definitely something to keep an eye on for that driver. Let's take a look at the weather. Didn't get a chance to see it. It's nice and cool. Cool breeze also as well in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. Just about 15 minutes to 15 minutes to 8 o'clock in Sim. I'm trying to remember my military time, which I should know as a firefighter, as EMT, that we constantly use military time, but it still trips me up every now and again. But the track nice and cool, 60 degrees, which I'm sure these drivers are going to love, but I'm curious to see what's going to happen to Dalton Kane here. I don't know if anything's going to happen to him necessarily this race.
Not this race, probably
not. Next
no.
race, I think he may have to kind of cross his fingers and hope for the best at the admin side with him. But it'll be Borgmeyer, Dalton Kane, Bryce Senizak, and Jacob Bell in the background has joined us back for this restart. So 4 drivers left to go, coming 4 laps to go. Casey Borgmeyer off and away. Dalton Kane already on his rear wing, heading off into turn 1.
But he's going to have to game plan how he wants to make this pass. He's got to get to the inside of him somehow, but he did a great move there. He entered a little higher to get a better exit out of 2, and he's got the left rear. That time, Borgmeyer gave him a lot of room that time. Maybe too much, but he's going to get a pretty good bite off the corner and keep that spot. So that's the highest we've seen anyone run tonight so far, and it worked well.
Oh, Borgmeyer hard charge into turn 1, maybe a little bit too much. It opens the door for the 7. Charge back on the inside, gets a decent run out of turn 2. Drag race into turn 3. Oh, Dalton Kane almost flying into the wall. Cuts it deep, slides in front of the 10. They switch back on each other.
Yeah, Borgmeyer and Kane both made mistakes on entries to the corners at different ends of the racetrack, but I think Dalton Kane just got what he needed to get that positioning on the outside and get the lead.
Go race into turn 3 once again for these drivers. Sorry, I got a spider that was crawling next to me. I had to take care of it for a second here. It's come white flag in the air. 1 more lap to go. Borgmeyer, a big dive to the inside. I wonder if he's going to try to have to send it. That's going to be his only option. Doesn't get the run off of turn 2.
I don't think he's close enough to make any sort of dive bomb just because I hope Dalton Kane makes some sort of mistake he can take advantage of, but Kane is smooth in the higher middle portion of the racetrack. Little wiggle off of 4, but he's going to get to the line.
Dalton Kane will take the win here in heat number 2. Casey Borgmeyer 2nd place, Senizak 3rd, Bell in 4th, with Connor Hughes finishing up in 5th place.
And Jacob Bell finished the race backwards for whatever reason.
I think at that point probably didn't care. Actually, yeah, no, I was going to say I thought he got ahead of Bryce Senizak, but he didn't. Just figured, might as well. He had nothing left to gain or lose as we get ready for our 3rd and final heat ready to line up.
I give him credit. He tried the Ross Chastain through 3 and 4. It didn't work at all. So good to know.
Yeah, good to know. I feel like the wall not as sturdy, or these cars nowhere near as sturdy as the next gen. I'm sure drivers wish they were as sturdy.
If it was a next gen, I think it would have worked, but he also might have flipped out of the racetrack.
Yep.
Because there's no fence to catch him.
Yep. I'm sure he doesn't mind, though. Let's take a look at the order for heat number 3. Jordan Martin will be leading the field down on pole to the green. Starting next to him in 2nd place, Carter Koop lined up in the 52 machine. Lined up in 3rd, Ryan Swan in the number 20 car. Next to him, Jaden Freiberger will actually be taking, I believe, an EOL, or was he just late on the gas?
Just laying back, just late, not paying attention. He's
there
good.
You go. And he will line back up in 4th. Jacob York will be lined up in the 97 in 5th. And Christian Bauer in the 56, lined up in 6th place. A decent amount of talent in this field. I'm curious to see how this plays out between several of these drivers. Carter Koop, we've seen, been on a mid-season resurgence. It seems like he's really started to pick up pace in 52. Doesn't really have the finishes, I think, to really show that off, as he's currently sitting in 10th, but we have seen some speed in that 52 car. And same thing with Jacob York. I think he's in this similar conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Carter Coop, he drove, 19th to 6th or something like that last week, but then kind of got caught up in Clayton Johnson's mess and, relegated him to 17th after starting, actually, it was 17th. No top 10 since Bristol Dirt, but we know Carter Coop has speed. And same thing with Jacob York. He just needs to get these finishes, and this is kind of a rare opportunity for him to get through the field in a heat because usually he's at the front of them.
Usually is at the front. We'll see what happens here. Starting in second, Martin leading the field. Pace truck's in. Off Martin goes. And once again, the green flag will fly at Williams Grove. And a big lead for the number 17 off into turn 1.
Oh, Coop slid up right in front of Carter Coop, and it made contact between him and Freiberger. So Freiberger's going to have big front end damage because of that happening right there. I don't know how they didn't wreck, and I believe it was Ryan Swan that came up in front of Coop. And that kind of caused that whole checkup.
Yeah, big damage to the side of Carter Coop's machine, big damage to the nose of Freiberger. We'll see how both of them carry on. It seems like they still got some pace for the 52. That wasn't critical damage to the left front. That's what I was curious about. So look at Martin keep that lead ahead, and then Ryan Swan inheriting second place out of all that carnage, and back again side by side between the 24 and the 52 for just a brief second in turn 3.
Seemed like him and Jacob Buer kind of drifted up the track a little bit too much, whereas you kind of saw the top two charge into turn 3 hard, but kind of get the nose pointed to the bottom part of the racetrack to get a better exit. And Jordan Martin keeping it nice and tidy, closer to the middle line than what everyone else is doing right now. But Ryan Swan just a touch faster that lap.
Yeah, notice he's getting a lot closer to this number 17 machine. Definitely need to keep an eye on him, see if he can potentially mess up the order here. It might not be Martin walking away with this as they work their way through 3 and 4. The 20 car closing in for the lead, and side by side and behind, drag race between 24 and 52. Last time they made contact, slide job for the 24, up and out of the way, maybe too far out of the way. Here comes Carter Coop back to the inside and will take the spot.
It made a little contact into 3. Coop kind of shut the door on the 24. Freiberger tried the slider. That's just not going to be as effective as we might have seen last week.
And meanwhile, up ahead, Jordan Martin and the 20 Ryan Swan nose to tail. This battle's on for the lead.
Oh, he's a little bit faster on the exits, but he's able to get into a corner a little bit faster. I think that's really helping him right now, but this is going to be the hard part. Where do you go to pass? The bottom, kind of non-existent. Slide job, tough to do, and, dirty air does at least matter, I think, a little bit, and maybe kind of pushed him back a little bit there, but you can see Jordan Martin inching down the track a little bit more, maybe trying to go a touch defensive, and it's giving Ryan Swan runs off the corner, but that time, Jordan Martin actually got a good launch.
Running out of corners, running out of opportunities. Ryan Swan having to find some way to get around. You can see him, the flag stand, white flag in the air. Well, one more lap to go in the heat number 3 specifically. As Martin goes up the track, Ryan Swan tries to cut down a little bit to get some sort of purchase point, but it might not be enough here.
He's going to try a slider right here. He got a good enough run off of 2 to try this. He's going to try to force Jordan Martin out of room, and he did. He put him in the wall almost. Drag race to the line. Jordan Martin got it. Oh, what a finish that was. Whew. Jacob York 3rd, Carter Coop 4th, Freiberger 5th, and DeBoer 6th. That was nice.
Great stuff there at the end. Another drag race. How about that? 2 for 3 out of the drag races to the line in these heats. Awesome stuff. And as quickly as that began, we're getting ready for the warm-up here before the heats get, the heats are over, before the feature race, 50 laps gets underway.
That was a little bit encouraging just to see the track get a little bit higher, but we saw good racing there, right? But it's still going to be tough to pass. We saw Ryan Swan get the Jordan Martin, look a touch faster. He dove hard into 3. It seemed like the only way he was going to make that pass work is if he walled Jordan Martin, which he almost did, but Martin he did a great job just keeping the car off the guardrail and getting it to the line. But that's going to be the type of aggression that these drivers are probably going to have to show the rest of their competition to make passes. You might have to feed someone your right side door tonight.
Might have to make them move them out of the way, and the big thing is to try to do that without drawing the ire of the admins and race control. So that's going to be something these drivers have to keep in the back of their minds. Coach Dalton Kane, I think, is going to have to keep that in the back of mind. Already probably on their radar. And as you look here, there's Travis Beckner. New paint scheme in the number 27 machine. Some more black on it. Black and white.
A little bit better at nighttime, perhaps. Never pay attention to the ad boards around the wall. I pay attention to the National Fairgrounds because I think people were actually able to buy those billboards on iRacing. It's separate from real life. I think so. I think I remember seeing something like that where you're able to buy some billboards.
Huh. That's an interesting thing, because usually I thought it was just they sign a deal, like if they're already on the track, they sign a deal to be displayed in iRacing as well, but interesting to specifically have it mentioned in iRacing.
Hickory might be the same way in iRacing as well, but I know Nashville Fairgrounds definitely is.
I wonder how much it costs.
I don't know. I think those phone numbers are actually real if you go to those tracks. So.
Take a
But
look.
you know, then you got tracks like then you got tracks like Auto Club, which A, don't exist, and B, I think literally only things that are on those billboards are the Cup Series logo and the track logo.
Taking a look at a couple of the drivers running out here in the warm-up session. Dalton Kane ended up finishing. Where did he end up finishing? Was it in third or second place?
He did end up winning that heat.
Oh, he won. He ended up winning. Sorry, a lot happened in that heat. I forgot about that. A lot happened in Heat 3 as well. So he did end up winning, so should be lined up in second place. And looking to see if he can get his second win of the season. Of course, his first win coming back at the dirt track at Charlotte back in March. So looking to see if we can repeat that success. And as far as the standings are concerned for him, he's currently sitting, wow, much further down the order than I would have thought. He has missed a start, which is not helping him. He's down 12th, despite having one win to his name. Just consistency has not been there for the 7.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, yeah, it's 4 top 5s, and you know he has a 3 third-place finishes, and then that win at Charlotte where he was likely going to finish third again if it wasn't for Johnson and Beckner coming together. But every race besides that, out 15th or worse, 17th at Lanier, 23rd Volusia, and then 15th last week at Port Royal after he was running up front. So, and a big part of that is just getting caught up in messes that he probably shouldn't need to be in. You know, maybe kind of roughing it up with Beckner, Johnson, a few others a little bit too much. Just got to keep the nose clean and get those finishes, and he'll be up to the top 5 in points in no time. But he's got to get going at some point for sure, and maybe no better time than the Keystone Classic at Williams Grove to do it, as we are still got a long ways to go in this season.
Yeah, still got a long way to go in this championship. We're just about, I think, at the halfway point, if not coming, I think, by the end of this stretch heading into the summer break. We should be just about halfway through this season. So it's getting there, it's getting close, but we got the Keystone Classic to work our way through. In the field already lined up and ready to go. Travis Beckner will be starting on pole with Dalton Kane, Jordan Martin, Ryan Zabel, and Casey Borgmeyer rounding out the top 5. A lot of quick drivers buried throughout the order. And notably, Jaden Freiberg starting way back in 15th. Definitely notable there. Carter Coop, we see, and has the speed, but again got into contact with the 24. He's starting back in 12th. Jacob Bell next to him in 11th. And Jacob York in 9th in the 97. So it should be interesting to see those drivers try to work their way through the order and climb to the top if they can. Of course, got some stiff competition up near the top with Beckner, Kane, and Martin.
Connor Hughes back there on 14th. We saw he had pretty good speed in his heat before getting taken out by Dalton Kane a little bit there. So he's going to have to come from 14th. You have about 3 or 4 drivers back there that can easily get through the field. And on the other side of things, you have some drivers in the top 10 that could really use a good start and convert that to a good finish, like Case Lakatos in 7th. He could use a good run. Senesac up in 8th. Brent Carey, a top 10 start for him. Those guys will be looking to try to stay where they are and try to maybe not go forward much if they can't, but just try to keep what they got track position-wise.
Pace truck getting ready to make the left-hand turn on a pit lane. Field will be given into control of Travis Beckner, who's been really finding his own in the middle part of the season. Can someone put a stop to the 27? Catching a groove. He's got 3 poles, 2 wins this season. Let's see if that stat can change here tonight as he gets it up out of 3 and 4. The green flag is in the air. We're green here at Williams Grove.
So what happened to Jacob Bell? I don't know if he was letting people by or what, but that was a really weird initial start. Dalton Kane's going to get the lead away there. Caution's out, so I don't believe that'll count. Connor Hughes went around in turn 1. But that was a weird start because it almost looked like Dalton Kane jumped it.
And Gene Freiberg's got a black flag, according to my scoring software.
Yeah.
Not sure what he got it for. That was by the admins, or that was from something he did. We'll take a look here at the start.
I think he passed Joseph Swan. That's what that was. He passes that blue and white car. That's what gives him the black flag. And then, Seinfeld just kind of takes out Connor Hughes.
Yeah, I want to also take a look, and you mentioned the start being a little bit weird. We'll watch it from up above. We saw Jacob Bell was out of line here. He just slowed down.
I think he maybe he was trying to let by Joseph Swan or something. I'm not quite sure what that was.
Let's see
But,
what
yeah,
happened with the one of Joseph Swan, if something happened.
I don't know. It just he gets a poor run out of 4, and Freiberger. I think Freiberger's trying to let him by because he knows he's going to get that black flag. But Joseph Swan, I think Joseph Swan also might have been trying to just give him the spot because he knows he's faster. But either way, I believe they cleared that black flag for Freiberger, so he does not have to serve it. But also a weird, interesting, incident in turn 1. Seidenfaden just kind of went into the 5 of Hughes, so the 5's not getting a lot of respect so far, and he's going to have to start at the back. But once again, I think part of that why that initial start was really weird is because Dalton Kane basically did jump it. He gave it back, so he didn't get a black flag. But he definitely anticipated it wrong and kind of tried getting going, and Beckner was not going yet.
Well, we'll resack him, line him up. 1 lap's complete, so we'll have 49 left to go here. It's not going to be, it'll essentially be another start here. A couple drivers with some damage near the back, namely Connor Hughes, but Wardle will remain the same. Travis Beckner ahead of Dalton Kane, then Martin, Zabot, and Borgmeyer. I think pretty much as they started, indeed as they started, everyone pretty much ready to go as they were. Some bump, beating, and bang there as everyone's anticipating, ready to go. Pace truck in once more. Let's get the thing going back again once more. Beckner on the gun, off and away. Green flag will fly, and away we go at Williams Grove once more. Dalton Kane immediately trying to work to the inside of Beckner, so sees the opening, not quite able to get there in time, but is all over the rear end of him. Meanwhile, in the back, still exchanges for position here. A couple drivers moving up. Casey Lucatis under attack from Carter Coop, who's throwing it in there.
He's trying to get position in a hurry, and he's going to get by Lucatis. He's having to defend on Freiberger a little bit as well, as they're both trying to kind of move through the field a little bit at the same time as they're all over each other. You're already seeing that groove, maybe a lane off that outside guardrail, as that they're still bumper to bumper for the lead. I'm actually impressed with Dalton Kane's speed right now. He's really able to get out of the corners a lot better than Beckner and carry more speed into the corner because of it. It almost looks like Beckner maybe lifting a little bit early into the corners just to maybe get through the center and exit a little bit better, but right now it's not working.
It's not working. Ooh, Brent Pancari in the wall. Carter Coop going to take advantage. Sorry, Jacob York going to take advantage of the situation, as well as Freiberger and Carter Coop almost able to get there. It'll be 3 wide on the exit of turn 2.
I don't think Carter Coop wanted any of that. I think he had enough bad experience of 3 wide in his heat, so go back out, just try to get Pancari 1v1 in that situation, as Kane's throwing a big slider for the lead, trying to get by Beckner. There was some contact there, but Beckner holding strong. Oh, spin, turn 2. I think Jacob York went around. No, it was Carter Coop. There's no caution, but there's cars everywhere in turn 2.
Carter Coop around, but off and away, but lost a big gap. We'll take a quick look and see what happened here. Did he? Oh, he had help. Casey Lucatis came flying in, went sideways. Somehow that did not bring out a caution. I'm kind of amazed by that. But he's backing away, but 3 seconds back from Brent Pancari in 10th.
Yeah, I don't know how that wasn't yellow either. And I think Ryan Swan.
Big damage to Ryan Swan. If he can't get a pit road, I think he missed the entrance. Indeed, he did. He has to go on another lap.
I think he hit the opening down the straightaway. Beckner's got some left front damage. I think he and Dalton Kane had even more contact. That or he skimmed the inside wall, but he's still going straight. And yeah, Swan hit the opening. That's the second time we've seen that opening hit.
This is what happened between Beckner and Dalton Kane here down the straightaway. A little bit, thought I saw a little bit of contact with Dalton Kane, but nothing crazy. For the lead, though, side by side in turns 1 and 2, and a wheel goes flying down the racetrack. That's a debris caution if I've ever seen one. But no caution will fly. Dalton Kane works the inside, Beckner on the outside. You can see him running kind of that cushion just where the loose gravel is.
Yeah.
Side by side off the corner once more to race to the line.
We're going to stay green. Ryan Swan did get at the pit road, so this is able to stay green, but you're just seeing that bottom is gone and the outside's the groove. It's just so hard to complete that pass without roughing your opponent up, and we're seeing it right now. Kane's been the faster car this entire race so far.
Kane's going to want to be careful. He's going to be playing with fire. We were talking about it before. He's already been in the eye of the officials. Had some interesting things happen to him in his heat. Ended up making contact with the driver. So the last thing you want is to rough up the driver, especially for the lead. I don't think they'll be looked at too fondly. So he's going to have to try to get this done shouldn't say the easy way, but the clean way. That'll be the hard way. Easy way will be bumping him and moving him out of the way, and he's all over the rear end of that 27.
They're both probably going to end up catching Ryan Swan. Oh, man,
dive.
That's a big dive. Yeah, he went for it there. Beckner saw it's going to wind up the crossover. He's going to get him right back, but he didn't quite clear up, so Kane's going to have the outside, so Beckner's going to have to do it right back to him, park it on his nose, but great crossover from Dalton Kane's going to get him the lead.
Yeah, great job by Dalton Kane to read that, angled the car differently, powered it out of the corner, and took the line away from Beckner. That was fantastic stuff. Just for him to position that car back to the outside lane, that was key to make a move. Great driving by the 7, did that the clean way, and will pull on to the lead for now. I mean, we always talk, though, with Travis Beckner, always mentions about tire saving that tire for later on. And I imagine the 27 is not the last we're going to see of him.
I would not think so. And like I said, I feel like he's not going full throttle maybe into the corners. He's kind of maybe lifting maybe 20% out of it down the straights. Because I don't think that would be a setup difference. I don't think that's something you could change on fixed setups. It just looks like Dalton Kane every time into a corner, he's just going faster into a corner like Beckner's not full throttle. So that could be a part of it as well. Beckner just trying to save tire. But he's got to keep Dalton Kane in his sights for sure. Because if this goes green and Kane doesn't lose that pace, he's going to be tough to pass. But Ryan Swan's going to try to not go another lap down. He's 1 down now. And he's actually running okay time, so Dalton Kane's not catching him, but that could be a factor later in this race.
Looking at Brent Vicari battling it out with Bryce Senizak. This is further down the order. See a couple battles also highlighting for position. Everyone's trying to make some moves here. You don't want to wait too long in this race because once tires go, you're really going to be struggling. See Vicari trying to look high and tries to look back down low just a little bit in the corner, but can't quite get enough of a move done on Senizak, but it's very tight quarters up here for position.
Yeah, it's tight quarters really with, you got the top 6 kind of all over each other from Dalton Kane to Jacob York in that 6th position. Freiberger actually just got the 5th position, so he's had a great climb back through the field. He's up into the top 5. Here comes York trying to maybe get back to the inside, get a little bit of a slide job done here, went way to the bottom. And the bottom looks good right now, but no one's really running it. York just couldn't get the run off the corner. That was the issue with that line there. But these top 6 all over each other. Kane's not getting away, and Martin, Zabot, Freiberger, Jacob York are all right there.
They're all kind of lined very well. Seems like no one really wants to change that at the moment. Freiberger, I think, trying to see if he can get to the outside of the 10. Tries to cut back down low here on the exit of turn 4. We'll have some sort of line alongside, but we'll have to commit to a dive if he wants to make this move, and there's a lap car up ahead. That's going to definitely hurt him with Ryan Swan in the 20 to the inside, but the 24 slides up in front of the 10 of Zabot, and we'll get the spot.
24 is very fast right now. These 3 passes are going to be really tough to make, though, but very, very strong so far as Ryan Swan gives way to the front line here. So you see that 24 all over Martin, maybe takes him by surprise, trying to get to the inside and kind of rotate the corner better as he's got a really good bite on that inside line right now, but no one else is really trying it. There goes Beckner. He saw it work there. He's like, okay, I'm going to try it, and it might get him to lead. Kane got way too high off of turn 4.
And taking a look to see if Beckner can get it done on the bottom, still side by side with the 7 and Dalton Kane, who gets really slowed up in the middle of 1 and 2. It's going to kill his momentum on the exit. You can see Kane gets it, but Beckner's still there and still working hard, as in the background, Freiberger up to 3rd.
Beckner did a great job keeping it to the bottom, all the way to the bottom. But Kane, that time, did not mess up 4, got a good run. He tried to get to the inside and take away that line from Beckner. He just could not quite do it.
Beckner back on the bottom, a decent drive off the corner. If he can send it here, he might be able to secure it. Dalton Kane also going to send it on the outside. Another lap car, Chris Seidenfein, and this could definitely affect things as Beckner will secure the lead, makes contact with the 99. 99 gets punted around by the 7. And
no caution.
Wow, I am amazed by that. The 7 with damage. Here comes Freiberger taking the chance, taking the opportunity. Now we'll be side by side with the 7 of Kane.
How much damage does Beckner have? I don't see any spoiler damage, but he got punted, and it looked like the right front wheel, but he's able to pull away with about a 1-second lead. I think Dalton Kane might have gotten the worst of it.
think he did. Made some decent contact with the front end of his car, so it's going to be hurting on the front end. The caution will fly, with Jacob Bell being the cause for this caution. Where is he? Around there. He's in the middle of 3 and 4. He's around. Take a look and see what caused Jacob Bell to bring out the caution, and we'll see what happened again once more with Chris Seidenfeiden. This is Bell and Hughes side by side in 3 and 4. Bell slid up, made contact with the 5, and around he went.
Oh, so that's a caution. Okay.
Yeah, it's always one of those things, right?
Yeah, that was. This looked like Bell slid up and nothing Hughes could do, but that was just bad timing with Seidenfeiden. He's trying to get off the corner. He actually lost his spoiler, so he's already struggling for downforce. And Beckner gets to his inside. Seidenfeiden loses it, pounds him right in the door, and then Dalton Kane. He tried to avoid him, but there was nowhere he could really go. And somehow it's not a yellow, and somehow the top two are able to keep going. Kane lost second to Freiberger, but Beckner got very fortunate to not get more suspension damage. He got hit right in the wheel.
Yeah, and I think Kane got him more in the left front, so wondering what Kane is planning to do. It doesn't look like he's come down pit road. I'm kind of surprised he wouldn't just come down to pit road and check. Again, with the caution laps not counting, you can essentially come down to pit road, get your car fixed up a little bit, get back out there and not lose your spot. So I'm kind of surprised he didn't want to come down, at least evaluate it, to see how much damage it is and maybe try to fix it out. But I guess he feels confident in the way it's driving that he doesn't need to do that. So he'll remain in third. Jaden Freiberger up in second. And Beckner, we were talking about him having some damage. And there is definitely some left front damage and some left rear damage to that car.
Yeah, he's had that left front damage since very early in the race. I don't think it came.
Sorry, it was on the right side that he made contact. So there's a little bit of that. You can see right by the rear wheel arch, just behind the number, it's crunched in a little bit, but not terrible.
I think he definitely got away with no suspension damage there, possibly. If there is some, it doesn't. It's obviously not major enough for him to pull it off. But I think that left front damage probably came from Dalton Kane, kind of shoving him off the track a little bit, but. If he doesn't have more damage than what we see, I think he's very fortunate. But Dalton Kane, I think, is the one in trouble. But Freiberger got the second through all that, so he might be in a really good spot here.
See how it goes here. Pace truck off and away. Field back in control of Travis Beckner. You see Jaden Freiberger up there trying to get a run. Beckner, though, gets a great restart. Away from everyone else. Green flag back in the air here. Williams drove. We'll see what the 24. Oh, the 7 is around, and a big pileup in turns 1 and 2. The caution won't fly because they're just going slow. Now it will.
That looked like Jacob York a little bit too deep, and that took out 5 or 6. That gave damage about 5 or 6 cars. Yeah, just kind of burned them. And these guys, there's nothing they could do. 09, the 10 Zabo is in there. You can't stop on dirt, so.
You really can't, especially mid-corner. You can't change your angle at as the scoring software is not letting me pick Jacob York. There we go.
Tries to go in deep, maybe looking at the driver who's outside, just a touch too far.
I think he tried to hit the brakes and slow down, but these cars are so momentum-based that you really can't do much, even if you do hit the brakes. You got to be careful. You might not loop it around doing so, but unfortunately that is going to be enough to bring out the caution. And for Travis Beckner, it looks like he obviously didn't get really anything of that. Same thing with Jaden Freiberger. Jordan Martin also benefiting a lot from that.
Everyone on the inside, nothing they could do. Carter Coop got around all that, I think. He just saw the gap open to be outside. But yeah, you got 3 people who are committed to the bottom, and there was nothing they could do.
Well, slowly coming down to a crawl. Actually, Case Borgmeyer benefited the most out of that. Actually will inherit 6th place once the smoke dies down. Honestly,
didn't think this would be a race where we'd see a lot of attrition, but we got a lot of damaged cars. I mean, the leader's damaged. Freiberger for now is clean, as is Jordan Martin. And it says up in that Brumpen carries 4th. His car is clean. That might be the difference today. But it seems like everyone else has some form of contact. Connor Hughes has damage. You got Dalton Kane really deep in the pack now. Senasak's right front is pushed up. Ryan Swan doesn't have a right front fender. It's been a little bit more chaotic than I thought it might be.
And it's still far from over. We still got just about half the race left to go. So we'll see what we have left in store. Can Travis Beckner hold off Jaden Freiberger, who's been so close to getting a win this season? He's just been out of his grass, lost it at Port Royal, was up there near the end, just couldn't get to the 27. This could be his chance to get a win, finally get in the wins column. As off and away they'll go. Casey Borgmeyer gets in the back of Jordan Martin. They check up on the inside lane, but a clean start for the most part. Brent Bunkari there in third place, ready to make something happen. Goes way to the outside.
Tried to get something to work there, just couldn't quite make it work. Beckner re-clear for that race lead. Meanwhile, that contact, Jordan Martin, anything he gained, he kind of lost because Borgmeyer got into the rear of him and lost both of them big track position. Beckner gets away with a pretty good lead now.
There's 7 to Dalton Kane fighting side by side with Connor Hughes heading into turn 1. And Connor Hughes trying to rebound from what happened to him in the heats. It looks like he's starting to make some progress, but meanwhile up for the lead, Jaden Freiberger, Travis Beckner. Beckner all the way glued to that inside wall. And now we're starting to see that dichotomy, everyone either way down low or way up high.
This is something I don't feel like we've seen in a few weeks. It just feels like the first few weeks, in most of the tracks that we've seen, that bottom will work at the beginning, but by the end of the race, that top line will be the only line that you can really use. But not really the case. We saw the bottom work, then it moved up, and now it's moved back down, where Beckner's making that way bottom line work again, just as well as it was in the very first heat from tonight.
And you see Brent Bunkari all the way up top. Carter Coop trying to rebound back on the bottom. It's been a crazy night for the 52. And looking to see if he can end it up on a high note here. He's got still a lot of racing left to go to keep a top 3 going, but he's trying his best. And now he's got to worry about Dalton Kane, who's inside.
This would be a great finish for Bunkari. There's way too many laps left, but he's definitely struggled a little bit more than a lot of the drivers we've seen. So this would be huge if he can just hold on really to a top 5. He's got a lot of hungry drivers behind him with Coop. Dalton Kane's back there. Jordan Martin, Borgmeyer, they're all trying to recover as well, as Bunkari is lancing it to the outside like no one else is right now, but Dalton Kane got a good fight off the bottom.
Side by side in behind, Carter Coop, Dalton Kane. Bunkari still up top, probably running the highest out of anyone, really. He's way in that loose gravel. I think he's trying to use that to his advantage. He's getting great runs off the corner. It's helping him defensively, especially the 7 and 52 battle side by side behind him.
And one thing it's doing, it's letting these top 2 pull away. Freiberger might be a little faster in 3 and 4, but Beckner's way better in 1 and 2, as Jacob Bell, maybe a little bit of extra contact there. Couldn't quite see what happened, but I think him and Connor Hughes had a touch of contact there.
Side by side, Dalton Kane, Brent Bunkari battle for 3rd place. Both of them taking different sides of the track. Whoa, Jordan Martin having to slam on the brakes, almost got into the back of Dalton Kane. Bunkari still side by side on the outside, keeps hitting the wall, and that's going to cause him to lose the spot on the straightaway. And still has a chance to fight off for 4th, though, as Carter Coop now is next going to try to work around him.
Yeah, it was weird. Almost like Jordan Martin got scared of the wall and Dalton Kane and felt like he had to slam the brakes, so lost even more position on track there, trying to get Carter Coop back. Meanwhile, like we said, those top 2 have checked out.
Whoa!
Multiple faster. Oh, man.
Some contact there between the 24 and the 27.
Didn't look like it did too much. I think Freiberger actually maybe overreacted too much, just giving Beckner his space, but Dalton Kane has a lot of work to do if he wants to get back in that battle for the race lead, as Bunkari trying to hold on now to 4th. He does not have a challenge yet. Jordan Martin still trying to get by Carter Coop for 5th.
Look at him go, trying to keep that top lane working, and it's doing much better on Carter Coop, who's not really able to get anything alongside. In the background, Jacob Bell making a move on Connor Hughes that pushes him up to 9th. The order starts to kind of settle itself out here as we're getting closer and closer to 10 to go. Big dive by Jordan Martin to the inside, trying to get around Carter Coop.
Matter of fact, it's not even a big dive, it's just the bottom of the racetrack, but you can see the outside line has just enough to get a good run off the corner, and Coop kind of goes defensive, entering low, but didn't really stay low, so that might give Jordan Martin the run he needs to get by him. Oh, Coop into a guardrail. Looks like he kept the spoiler on it, but yeah, Freiberger keeps lighting up the rear of Beckner entering 1. He's committed to the high side in 1, but Beckner gets a great run out of 2, just planting the bottom of the racetrack, and Freiberger can't do anything about it yet.
Yeah, so it flashed a change for position for just a brief second as Freiberger's working that outside lane. Now both of them bottom feeding, and I wonder how physical the 24 is going to try to get with him.
I think he's trying to be as respectful as possible, but you're not going to beat him running his own line. He might have fired it in too hard to the top. He bounced the right rear off that guardrail, but he's going to get a run on Beckner, but where can he go with it?
Where can he go? He's going to go to the bottom. He tucked up right up behind him. He wants to. He's trying to get as close as he can to make the hope that Beckner makes a mistake. But Beckner has been pretty good at just holding his line and not driving in reaction to the driver in behind. Driver kisses the wall just a little bit, tries to cut down hard on the exit to get some sort of better on the 27. He's now lined up just a little bit to the outside and can't quite get there.
Beckner might have even hit the inside wall with the left front. Don't look now, but Dalton Kane is faster than both of them. I don't know if he'll get there, but he finally got the third, and he's been putting down really good laps. Meanwhile, Jordan Martin did get by Brent Punkeri for that fourth spot a few laps ago. Punkeri just trying to hold on to what he can. Carter Coop, Borgmeyer, they're side by side for position as well.
Freiberger, a decent run up on the top. I think what Freiberger needs to do is run up top one corner and get the run, then make a dive in the next. That might be his next best strategy here. But Beckner is trying to do the best he can to read the 24 and predict where he's going to go, if it's going to be top or bottom.
Yeah, he's really just trying his best to take away his line. I don't think he really has to take away the top in 1 and 2. I just think he can't get the run that he needs to even challenge Beckner off the corner in turn 2.
You can look at best time between Dalton Kane and Freiberger, last lap time I should say. Kane a little bit slower that time by, but is still in the for catching. Contact goes in the background.
Carter Coop, he went for the slide job. He hit the wall hard. I don't know how he kept the spoiler on it. I thought that was for sure going to destroy his car, but he's able to get the spot while doing it.
Still fighting hard here. Borgmeyer, Coop, and Brent Punkeri, who drops back to 7th. Punkeri doing the best he could to fight it off. Just a quick look at what happened between Carter Coop and Brent Punkeri.
Just a big dive. I mean, he just runs out of room very early. Ooh. Really big hit. And Punkeri also hit the wall, so I think that's why he got away with it. I just thought that would really destroy the car.
Carter Coop trying to hold on to 5th place. Jordan Martin away, trying to catch back up to Dalton Kane. Going to be way too far for that. Dalton Kane trying to see if he can catch the leaders here as we head to 5 to go this time by.
He just lost a little too much track position on those 2 restarts by getting hit by Jacob York. He still has the speed, he just might not have the time, as Freiberger really checked up entry trying to get that big exit, but lost a lot of time. He might lose 2nd.
Oh, let's see. Parts flown on the front straightaway here. Joseph Swan damaged on the 1 car. It looks like it's actually repaired itself, so he might be okay, but he's going to be in the middle of this battle. Here comes Dalton Kane on the back of the 24. Fiber, trying to deal with the lap car. He's missing a right front, I should say, and Fiber will lose out 3rd place. And
there's no caution for that. I'm kind of shocked Swan didn't just keep it to the outside wall, but that's probably going to give Beckner the room he needs to take this win. I don't think Kane has time to get there now.
Fiber is going to be annoyed with the lap car for being in his way. He was trying to hold up and not get into him. Dalton Kane said, "This is my chance to shine," and took the spot away. Fiber in the wall. He is struggling.
He's trying his hardest, just cannot get the grip off the top side. That battle for 5th is still pretty darn strong. Borgmeyer's got it. Coop trying to get it back. Jacob York is climbed back up to 7th, and Jacob Bell's trying to get 8th from Punkeri.
So Jacob York, big commitment to the inside, almost sliding up into Carter Coop. Not quite getting up into him, but it's all over his rear end. It is kicking off here, and there's Jacob Bell, speaking of which, trying to work to the inside of Brent Punkeri, will do so.
Meanwhile, white flag's out. There's 1 more lap to go. Dalton Kane is pretty close. If he wants to go for a Hail Mary, he's close enough to do it.
He's close enough. We'll see if he will do it. Into 3 and 4. Beckner holding a defensive line to the inside. Dalton Kane also there. So close, yet so far. For Travis Beckner, another win for him this season. Win number 3 comes to him at Williams Grove.
Martin, Borgmeyer, Coop, and York side by side for 6th. Jacob York's going to get it. That was a good drag race to the line. And then it's Bell who got from Punkeri for 9th, for 8th position. Connor Hughes 10th, maybe 10th. No, Lakatos got him at the line. So great finish for a 13 as well. That was another great drag race to the line, but
you have to
Beckner,
take a look from the flag stand.
Travis Beckner, great win, but and maybe a little 8. Just what a charge by Dalton Kane. He had great speed that entire race, just didn't have quite enough.
But right there, Jacob York winning that, Jacob Bell. And then finally in the background, Casey Lakatos. Side by side with Side and Fighting, and there they go, flying at the line. As fireworks fly.
Side by side, I think that was with Connor Hughes. But either way, it's 10th place for Lakatos. He'll be happy with that. But great defense by Beckner that entire last run. And I got to tip the cap to Dalton Kane. He gave it everything he could to recover from getting spun. Maybe one more lap, but just it wasn't meant to be.
Wasn't meant to be. We'll take a look, though, at our finishing results. Travis Beckner taking win number 3 of the season here at Williams Grove. Then back in second place will be Dalton Kane in the number 7 machine. Jaden Freiberger lined up in third. So close yet so far for him. He'll have to wait another week. Jordan Martin finishes 4th in the number 17. Casey Borgmeyer, the 101, finishes in 5th. Jacob York, the 97, finishes in 6th place with Carter Coop. Jacob Bell, Brent Punkari in 9th, and Casey Lakatos to round out in 10th.
I think Punkari will take 9th, but it definitely could have been better. Just could not quite hold on with that way higher line. Connor Hughes 11th, DeBoer 12th, Senesac 13th, Zabo 14th position. I think he was hoping for better. Ryan Swan went 2 laps down because he didn't get a yellow when he got damaged from the opening, so he got 15th. Joseph Swan had trouble there at the very end, 16th for him. Seidenfaden, we saw the big hit he had, 17th, and Justin White didn't start the race.
That'll round out our finishing order here. We'll take a look and see which drivers we have waiting for the interview. It looks like they're all lined up ready to go. First, we'll start with Jaden Freiberger, who was charging so hard there at the end. You looked high, you looked the middle, you looked low, and everything else in between, but unfortunately couldn't find anything or any way around the 27 of Beckner. Walk us through your race.
Just screwed myself in qualifying, started really deep, used a lot of my stuff up, got there, but I couldn't get by him. I showed him the top at 3 and 4, showed him the bottom at 1 and 2.
Yeah, and we saw the lines, of course, changing as the run went on. At the end, considering how, I don't want to say ruined the racetrack is, but how used up it was the bottom better, was the top better?
The bottom and 1 and 2 had a ton of moisture off, so it was pretty good, but there was not as much off of 3 and 4, so running the top and 3 and 4 seemed to be the better option, but Dalton made the bottom work, obviously. I mean, he drove up he was 3 seconds back of us and drove by me, and probably would have had Travis if it went a couple more laps.
All right, well, it was a solid job for you. Unfortunately, couldn't quite get there. It wasn't quite enough, but Jaden, solid finish for you. Another top 3 for you.
Thanks.
And with that, we'll move on to our second place finisher. Talk to Dalton Kane here in just a second. There we go. Get him moving up there. Hey, Dalton, this Finian Sim TV booth, you got a copy?
Oh, yeah.
All right, well, we saw you there. Somehow you came flying out of nowhere. We thought you got held up maybe a little bit too much by Brent Punkari there at the end, but you charged back up to the field. You somehow got third, and frankly, I think given a couple, maybe 5 laps, probably could have got the lead back.
Oh, give me 1 lap. I was hot on it.
We saw you get close, but not quite enough there. Walk us through how your race went.
I didn't want to save early. I kind of thought it would be just 1 lane around the top, so I knew I had to get to it. Got to it, and then screwed up. Let him get the bottom, get around me.
Yeah, unfortunately, you weren't able to get back up there in time for Beckner, but we saw some carnage happen in the heats. Do you feel like that was what kind of held you back, having to work your way back up through the order?
No, I don't think that's what it was. After that restart, I got half spun, and then I had to go through the field, and then no time left at the end.
All right, well, Dalton, another solid finish for you. Second place. Congratulations.
Oh, yeah, bud.
And with that, we'll finish up with Dalton Kane and move on to talk to our race winner, Travis Beckner, once more. Travis, I don't know how you managed to do it. Really recently, you've been up there near the top of the order week in, week out. You've really become the man to beat in this series. Walk us through how you managed to pull it off once more.
Yeah, that I had a lot of damage that did not help me out down the straightaways. I was just spinning tires all the way down the straightaways because how much aero damage I had. But just was trying to protect the spot that I could as much as I can, and ended up protecting it enough in the end, and now I'm 3 in a row, so hopefully that means I got a bounty on my head for next week, because that's how we did it with Tyler Gary. But yeah, that is honestly, the race went a lot better than what I thought it was going to go. I thought it was going to be 1 lane around the bottom the whole entire time, and then we were running the top for the first half, then it switched down to the bottom for the middle part of the race, and then went from bottom 1 and 2, top 3 and 4, back down to the bottom of 3 and 4 again. This track was just changing every single lap. You had to try your best to chase it, and I tried my damnedest to chase it.
Yeah, we definitely saw you there. We saw you constantly defending to your best. You did a fantastic job at doing so. So, you know, looking at the rest of the calendar in the upcoming weeks, so really looking at Lincoln Speedway next week on May 14th. Do you feel like you have a chance of making it 4 for 4?
I think I have a chance. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Lincoln, but for whatever reason, I'm really good there. Or at least it's one of my better dirt tracks. But, we'll see what happens. These guys, I definitely got to head back and get some homework done because these guys are getting quicker and quicker every week. I don't like it at all. I mean, huge points gap in the championship now, which helps out a lot. But just need to keep on grinding it out and keep on finishing top 5, top 3s. I'm not 100% sure if Jordan Martin got a top 5. If he did not, now I got the most top 5s in the season.
He did.
Oh, dang it.
Sorry.
But yeah, the rest of the season's gonna be a lot of fun.
All right, well, Travis, a solid run for you. Another win to your name, win number 3 of the season. We'll see you'll be still many more to come. Congratulations on your win.
Yep, before I go, I'd like to thank my sponsors, Hendry County Motorsports Park, Wilson Race Cars. Huge shout out to Cosman. Made this paint scheme last second for me. I was debating this weekend before I went to the dirt track. I was like, man, Dad, should I get a new paint scheme? And he was like, yeah, get a new paint scheme. I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna get a new paint scheme. Paint scheme came out amazing, Cosman. And of course, got to thank my dad, my mom, and Jeff. I know you're watching again, so I'm thanking you again, Jeff. Thank you, sir. And everybody that came out and raced and watched, and y'all taking the time out of your day to come broadcast this single-handedly best broadcast in iRacing.
Thank you, Travis. Thank you as always, and congratulations once more on your win.
Thank you.
All right, with that, it's going to be wrapping up interviews here from Williams Grove and another race that didn't disappoint. And, you know, Travis Beckner, you alluded to something, and it's very true that, you know, very much the drivers in this series have been stepping it up. It was a hard-fought win. We saw both Freiberger and Kane battling it up there with Beckner. He did not have an easy time here tonight.
No, definitely not, especially at the end. I mean, Dalton Kane, we mentioned he was running faster laps at the end, but once he got the second, he just charged up to the rear of Beckner. I think one more lap, he has a real shot at making the pass. He just didn't have quite enough to get through 3 and 4 with a shot at the line, but a Keystone Classic did not disappoint. Dalton Kane didn't disappoint, kind of getting through the field a little bit at the end there. Had some other drivers like Freiberger get through the field from 15th to 3rd. Great run for him, and just a great race. Great racetrack, Williams Grove. Some tracks that we've seen in the last migrate towards the top and kind of stay there, but tonight we saw it kind of go to the top more than I thought it would, and then back to the bottom, and you had 2 lines that were really working well, the top and the bottom at both ends of the track. So just a great race overall, and great finish as well. Almost every heat, almost every race we saw tonight had a great finish. So very fun time. Just got to hope for more of the same at Lincoln next week.
Yep, that'll be where we're heading next week. Lincoln Speedway, May 14th, the Gettysburg 50 will be the next race lineup on the schedule. And that'll put us even closer to the halfway point this season, but not quite there just yet. Still plenty of racing left to go, 24 rounds in total. We're just getting started here with the series, but that'll be wrapping up coverage here from Williams Grove, round number 9 over here on Sim TV. My name is Vinny Kuna here with Connor Horn. We'll be wrapping up coverage here tonight. Thank you for watching.